we're back again for another week of Flix Friyay! And before we get started, go ahead, do me a favor, slap that like button, hit subscribe, and without further ado, let's hop into it. So, for this week's episode of Flix Friyay, we're talking about The Art of Self-Defense, and this movie is on Hulu. I think it's only on Hulu, but let's go ahead, let's talk about the acting first and foremost. So I have it written down in front of me, hope you don't mind, but I'm just really terrible with actual names. I can remember characters, but actual actor names, no, it's not happening. So the three standouts, although all the acting was really good, really believable, was Jesse Eisenberg, Alessandro Nivola, and I hope I'm getting this right, Imogen Poots. And those were the three main characters, I would say, so that's really good that they were the standouts. And I'm really happy that Imogen was in here. Again, sorry if I butchered that. But she's actually from one of my favorite, if not maybe my favorite zombie movie, 28 Weeks Later. 28 Days Later is great as well, but my personal preference is 28 Weeks Later. I'll probably try to do a Flix Friyay review of that movie and 28 Days Later as well, just because they're really great. I would love to do a review of them and honestly just have an excuse to watch them again. But I'm glad to see she's doing some other stuff since then. I thought she was really good in that, and I hadn't seen her in really anything that I can remember until now. So I'm glad she got this role, and she does great. I mean, she definitely proves herself as an actor. The other thing is, this movie is pretty much the definition of dry, dark humor, and it pulls it off really well, especially during the second act, I would say. Like, if you put it into 3 acts, I would say the second act, the middle part of the movie, is where it's at its peak, is where I enjoyed it the most, because that was really the funniest parts of that dark humor. The beginning was much more dry part of that dark humor, and then the latter half, it kind of switches it up and goes to a really dark and kind of serious place, to where the one con for me comes from this, in that because it goes from dark humor to dark serious, it can be kind of confusing during that transition at first, and you kind of don't know, like, do they expect me to laugh at this, or like, because this is some serious stuff right now, and I mean, some of it's pretty messed up, so it definitely caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. I actually recommended it to a friend when I was at that second act and said it's like a funny movie. It's totally hilarious. And I should probably get back to him on that, because even though I still do recommend it to them, it's hilarious until it's not hilarious. But it does have a great payoff, and the payoff has some humor in it. So it does kind of go full circle and go back to that humor, touches base where it's at its strongest in that humor. So I really like that. The tone of the movie is very creepy. It pulls that off well, both during the dark humor aspects, where it's kind of awkward, like these people are kind of weird, and then when it gets dark serious and you're actually stressing, like it pulls it off well, where for part of the movie you're laughing out loud, and then the other part of the movie you're just grabbing your seat, like, you know, sweating bullets, like you are stressed out for these main characters, especially Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen. Those two main characters you are very stressed out for, and I think that pulls it off really well. And I think that makes it really unique, in that I've seen quite a few movies that are dark humor. I haven't seen a lot of movies that range from dark humor and kind of bounces back and forth between that and something so serious, because there is some very serious subject matter in here that's very dark and not humorous, that if it wasn't for the actors, I think it would have failed, because it definitely, like, I was trying to picture it when it changed tones, and I was like, if it didn't have these three main characters, these exact actors for it, I don't know if I would have liked this movie, honestly. I think I would have been kind of like, oh, Like, it started off strong, and then it just downhill. And just because, you know, it builds up that humor, and you're not really in the mood to have it switch tones like that, and you're not ready for it, but these actors pull it off so well and so believably that it works, and it works very well. And again, that rewarding payoff, it does end in a serious and a humorous way, kind of a mixture of the two. And I don't think it could have ended any more perfect, honestly. I think the ending was fantastic. The ending was a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. That ending was great. And all in all, I'm going to give The Art of Self-Defense a 9 out of 10. That's a Zeppelin on my rating board. And really the 9, or the -1 point, is just that strange mix of dark humor with dark seriousness with very heavy subject matter, I guess. And it works for it in some ways, and then works against it in others. So that's why it's a -1 point. It's not a perfect movie, but that's how my rating scale is. I'm not going to give a 10 out of 10 to probably pretty much anything, because honestly, a 10 out of 10 for me is like, I personally didn't see anything wrong with it. A 5 out of 10 is just that. It's average. It's not bad. Like, a lot of places will do a 10 out of 10 for something that's great, but it still might have a few problems. And then a 5 out of 10 for something that's bad. My 5 out of 10 is just average. That's what it is. So you'll see a lot of 7s and 8s out of 10s. That's really good. That's honestly a really good score on my channel. So, yes, I give this a 9 out of 10, a Zeppelin. Highly recommend it. If you have Hulu, give it a try. If you like dark humor, give it a try. If you're also in the mood for something serious, give it a try, honestly. And just know that it gets serious. You know, if you're not really into the humor aspect of it, just know that it'll get to the serious part of it. And I think you'll enjoy that too. So, without further ado, I'm going to wrap it up here for this week of Flix Friyay. And before I go, though, make sure, slap that like button, hit subscribe, and ding the notification bell. Make sure you're notified when these videos go up. And I'll see you next week on Flix Friyay.